Yes, my friends, things are starting to heat up behind the scenes in Denver, and today we need to talk about 3 stories that could have a real impact on the Broncos heading into training camp. As the countdown to football continues, rumors are flying everywhere. Some involves one of the greatest players in franchise history. Another questions whether Denver should still make a move on offense, and the last could directly affect the Broncos' defense this season. I don't know about you, but I want to see this team take the next step. I want to see the Denver Broncos fighting for a Super Bowl again, and why not this season? But here's the big question. Where do you stand? Do you still believe Von Miller could somehow return to Denver? Or do you think it's time for the Broncos to completely move on and trust the players already on the roster? And what about Jonathan Cooper's situation? Do you think the Broncos have enough depth to overcome a possible suspension if it comes to that? I really want to know your opinion, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've been supporting the Denver Broncos for more than 15 years, smash that like button as hard as you can. Now, let's talk about everything that's happening around the Broncos. Let's begin with the biggest topic that continues to generate conversation among Broncos fans, the possibility of Von Miller returning to Denver. For a long time, many people believed there was still a realistic chance that the legendary pass rusher could find his way back to the Broncos. After everything he accomplished with the organization, it always felt like there would be unfinished business between Von Miller and the franchise, where he became a Super Bowl champion and one of the greatest defensive players in team history. But based on the most recent developments, that possibility appears to be getting smaller. The biggest reason is Von Miller's recent social media activity. After appearing in a Dallas Cowboys jersey on his Instagram story, speculation immediately shifted toward Dallas becoming a more realistic destination. While nothing official has happened, and there were reports indicating there was no imminent agreement between Von Miller and the Cowboys, the feeling is that he is making it known where he would like to continue his career. Instead of waiting quietly for teams to call, it seems like he is publicly showing interest in possible landing spots. That doesn't necessarily close the door on Denver forever. Nothing in the NFL is ever completely certain until contracts are signed. However, considering everything that has happened recently, it looks increasingly unlikely that the Broncos will bring him back before the start of training camp. If a reunion were ever to happen, it would probably take place much later in the offseason, perhaps toward the end of training camp, or even closer to the regular season when teams have a much better understanding of their roster needs. It's also important to remember that Von Miller is still viewed as one of the greatest edge rushers the league has ever seen. Players with his resume don't simply disappear overnight. Even if he isn't the same player he was several years ago, his experience, leadership, and ability to pressure quarterbacks still make him an attractive option for teams looking for veteran help. But based on everything available right now, Denver fans probably shouldn't expect to see him wearing orange and blue this season. The next rumor involves the Broncos' offense, specifically the running back position. Some discussions have suggested Denver could still look to add another veteran running back before the season begins. On paper, adding another experienced player always sounds interesting, especially when free agents remain available. However, when you take a closer look at Denver's current roster, the need simply doesn't appear to be there. The Broncos already invested in Jonah Coleman, brought back J.K. Dobbins, and continue building around a running back room that already has several different skill sets. There has also been discussion about Antonio Gibson potentially fitting into Denver because of his receiving ability and pass protection. While those traits certainly have value, the current belief is that Denver simply doesn't have much reason to pursue that move. Instead, the Broncos appear comfortable with the talent they already have. If J.K. Dobbins stays healthy, he has the ability to become one of the better running backs in football. R.J. Harvey showed impressive scoring production, and there is significant optimism surrounding Jonah Coleman's future with the organization. Together, they already provide depth, versatility, and competition entering training camp. Because of that, adding another running back would likely create more questions than answers. There simply aren't many available players who would clearly improve the group enough to justify making another move. Even when discussing bigger names that occasionally appear in rumors, the overall feeling remains that Denver doesn't need another offensive addition at running back. If anything, the roster appears much stronger than many people expected heading into the offseason. The final story may end up becoming the most important one because it directly affects Denver's defensive plans entering the new season. Jonathan Cooper's situation continues to remain unresolved, And for now, everyone involved is essentially waiting for the legal process to continue before any final decisions are made. Recent developments involving another NFL case have shown that teams are willing to wait until legal proceedings become clearer before making permanent roster decisions. That appears to be the approach Denver is taking as well. The Broncos are monitoring the situation while allowing the legal system to move forward before determining exactly what comes next. However, even if the legal outcome ultimately becomes favorable for Cooper, that doesn't necessarily mean his football future will immediately return to normal. The NFL operates under its own personal conduct policy, which gives the league authority to issue discipline independent of any court decision. According to that policy, certain violations carry a baseline suspension of 6 games, although the league has flexibility to increase or decrease that punishment depending on the specific circumstances. That means Cooper's availability this season could still be affected regardless of how the legal process concludes. The Broncos fully understand that possibility, which is why the organization has remained in communication with both the league office and local authorities while continuing to evaluate the situation carefully. Head coach Sean Payton also made it clear that the organization maintains high standards regarding player conduct. The Broncos have acknowledged the seriousness of the situation while choosing to let the process continue before making additional decisions. That approach reflects an organization attempting to balance patience with accountability. From a football perspective, this uncertainty also creates opportunities for other players. If Cooper were forced to miss time because of NFL discipline, younger pass rushers would suddenly find themselves with much larger roles. Players like Q Robinson and Jonah Ellis could receive significantly more snaps and much bigger opportunities to prove themselves on the field. Training camp could become especially important for both players because the coaching staff may need reliable depth at the edge position if Cooper becomes unavailable. As training camp approaches, these 3 storylines will continue drawing attention from Broncos fans. The possibility of Von Miller returning appears to be fading for now. Denver's running back room looks complete without another addition, and Jonathan Cooper's future remains uncertain while everyone waits for more clarity. None of these situations has reached its final chapter yet, but each one has the potential to influence how the Broncos begin the upcoming season. Another reason these rumors continue to generate so much discussion is because of where the Broncos are in the calendar. Training camp is almost here, and once practices begin, every position battle becomes much more meaningful. Coaches stop talking about potential and start evaluating performance. Every snap matters, every drill matters, and every opportunity to impress could determine who earns a larger role once the regular season begins. That is why so many fans are paying close attention to every small update surrounding this team. The uncertainty surrounding Jonathan Cooper could also change how the coaching staff evaluates the edge rushers throughout camp. Instead of simply deciding who deserves a roster spot, Denver may have to determine who is capable of handling a much bigger workload if needed. That puts additional pressure on younger players to show they can consistently perform against NFL competition. Training camp won't just be about making the roster, it could be about